Shady Sports, man. I'm very excited to be joined today by 2026 Colorado Spartan starting quarterback Paxton Lynch. Paxton, how are you doing today, big dog?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, thank you for being on. My first question for you, everyone wants to know, how did this opportunity come about?
Yeah, so Tony actually showed up at one of my son's football practices. My son plays 10U tackle football, and I'm the offensive coordinator for the team. So he actually showed up to one of the practices and introduced himself to me and told me, who he was and what he did, and asked me if I was interested in still playing. So after that happened, we went to lunch together, kind of had a conversation about it, and he gauged my interest on it, and I kind of learned some more information about it, and I thought, it was a good opportunity to continue to keep playing.
What's your biggest motivation, you would say, for you taking this opportunity?
I just love the game. It is what it is on where I am in my career. But I see this as an opportunity to, get another chance to play football. Also, like I said, my son is 10 years old. He plays tackle football, and I try to teach him as much as I can about the game and, what kind of goes into it. And I think this is a good opportunity for me to be able to, not just talk to him about it, be able to show him what it's like to prepare and to play.
And that's really awesome to hear. And I kind of wanted to piggyback off that. I'm sure you watch NFL nowadays. What's your opinion on the development of kind of rookie quarterbacks, first round picks now compared to when you played ball?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of changed throughout the years, throughout the history of the NFL. It used to be like you have a guy and you draft a guy and you kind of let him sit and you kind of let him learn, where now they're kind of transitioning more to guys are coming in and playing. And obviously, I think that has a lot to do with the style of the game has changed. I think there's a lot more correlation to NFL to college where guys are more prepared coming in. And they're ready to start right away. And also, you spend a lot of money on these guys in the first round. A lot of these quarterbacks that you get in the first round, you're paying them a lot of money. So you want them to be out on the field and be playing for you and helping you win.
Do you feel like the quarterback play is up or down compared to when you played across the league?
I think it's just different. I think we're transitioning from a style of play that was more of, being in the pocket and learning about defenses and making adjustments at the line of scrimmage and being able to control the game that way and being able to, be accurate and be decisive and be able to put your team in the best situation to win, pre-snap. But now I think it's more transitioning, not to say that quarterbacks don't do that now, because you obviously have to be able to do that. But I think now it's transitioning more to a dual threat style quarterback, because obviously what it does for your offense, and it gives you the ability to do so much more when you have a quarterback who can move around and extend plays and make plays. And it makes things easier on a coach too. If you got a guy back there where you don't have to call the perfect play every time, you got a guy back there who can scramble around and make plays for you, regardless of what happens, regardless of what the call is.
In your career, who would you say would be the toughest defense coordinator that you ever went against?
Shoot. I'm trying to remember. I remember my first start, I can't remember if it was my first or second. I think it was my second start against the Atlanta Falcons the year they went to the Super Bowl. They had a pretty good defense. I don't remember who was the DC during that time, but they had a really good defense. They had a really good plan. Obviously, they went to the Super Bowl and played great, for 3 quarters, ended up losing to the Patriots, but they had a good defense.
One thing I wanted to ask, and I'm very curious, you've had an opportunity to play in all these alternate football leagues. What do you think the biggest challenge of playing alternate football is for you?
It's just different levels. There's different things come with it. Obviously, you go to the NFL and you play at the highest level, and there's a lot of things you have access to, that help you, perform and things like that, like things like weight rooms and meeting rooms and facilities and stuff like that. With these alternate leagues, obviously a little different. Some of them it's just like in a hotel and everybody's in a hotel, and you're interacting with like the other teams on a daily basis, which is weird because you're competing with these teams. Obviously it's coaching staffs and a lot of different philosophies that you bounce around from. And, I had a family too when I was doing this. I had kids, so it was hard in terms of them, coming to see me and being there and being back and forth. So that was the hardest. It's still good football. Obviously, you see a lot of these guys coming out of the what was the XFL and the USFL now is the UFL, but you see a lot of guys coming out of that league and coming into the NFL and making impact. So you see that the talent is there. Some of these guys just don't get the opportunity to show it.
In your opinion, I know, the XFL has kind of utilized Jordan Palmer, to come in and coach the quarterbacks. What other resources as a player would you like to see the XFL add to kind of speed up development, would you say?
I think it's good that they get those coaches. You get guys who have coached other guys who have done it at the highest level in the NFL. And then they can come back into those leagues who they can now share their knowledge to them, right? Because you don't know what you don't know. Like a lot of those guys who've never been to the NFL, out of college, just never got the shot. So now they're playing in some of these leagues. Some of the guys have gone and come back. So I think that's what's important. These guys who have the experience are able to come back and share their knowledge with these guys to prepare them and build them up to get them where they need to be ready for the next level if they get that shot.
You had the opportunity in Orlando specifically to play for Terrell Buckley, Super Bowl winning DB for the Patriots. How was it playing with him, and how competitive of a coach was he? You got him in the beginning of his young coaching career. So
yeah, he was a good coach. He was very competitive. He wanted to win. I was the same way. And when you got somebody who's competitive and everybody wants to win and you don't win, it's hard. So that was the hardest part. But he wanted to win and I wanted to win too. So it was fun being able to play with him. It was fun being able to kind of pick his brain. And watching film with him and seeing how he saw the game from a defensive perspective and, how I saw the game from a quarterback. So it was good to be able to get that insight from him.
For sure. And, I appreciate you covering that. And, one question I did have is the goal for you playing the NAL to get back to the UFL, CFL, or are you kind of content with finishing?
Obviously I would love another opportunity to get there. Who wouldn't? But right now, I'm not worried about what's happened in the past, and I'm not worried about what's going to happen in the future. I'm just really focused and content on what getting another opportunity to play football and what this season is coming up. So I'm just focused on, being here with the Spartans and being able to go out there and enjoy football and love the game and have fun playing it and try to win a championship with this team and win a championship in Denver. My family's here, my kids are here, so that would be amazing to be able to go out and do that in front of them and have them here for that. So, I'm not worried about worried about the past and the future. I'm more worried about, this season right now. If this is the last time I ever play football, then it is what it is. I'm going to enjoy it. So that's kind of where my mind is.
Absolutely. So, obviously you look at college football nowadays, you played at Memphis, and in my opinion, I feel like you would have had multi-million-dollar offers to play in the SEC if you were in college. Talk about the transfer portal, NIL, your opinion on that, and how would you utilize that if you were in college?
Shoot, like you said, I was a freaking, 18, 19-year-old kid at Memphis, and in a way, I'm kind of glad I didn't get that money when I was in college, because who knows what I would have done with it. The NIL and the transfer portal, it is what it is. It's obviously changed the game. It's in a way, it's like leveled the playing field, I guess you could say, amongst the big programs. But the smaller programs, I think it hurts them more, right? Like you said, like when I was at Memphis, I think it's safe to say that there would have been other opportunities to go play other places, and it's hard for these college kids to say no to that, right? Like if you're a quarterback and you're playing at a small, not a small school, but a school that doesn't have, the publicity as some of these other big schools, and I'm a quarterback and I get offered to go play at Ohio State for $3 million, they have a track history of having good quarterbacks that go into the NFL, so it's like, how do you say no to that? So I think that's the biggest thing with the NIL, is the level playing field on the bigger programs, but where it hurts the game the most at the college level is the big programs to the smaller programs. And the transfer portal, it's just tough because I was raised in the time that I was playing, it was, you went to school and you fought and you worked and you did what you needed to do to get onto the field to play. It wasn't, oh, shoot, I can just transfer here and go play here. And I think that just kind of gives, people an easy out, like some of these athletes an easy out, and it doesn't teach them to, persevere and push through this adversity, which in the end benefits you and makes you a stronger player, mentally stronger, teaches you things, helps you grow. So I think that hurts the game in that sense, like not teaching kids, loyalty and staying there and taking pride in your work, taking pride in working hard and doing the extra things to get onto the field, to being the guy you want to be.
Most definitely. Do you foresee yourself kind of going into college coaching eventually?
I thought about it. Obviously, now that my playing career has gone the direction it has, and I've had this past year, like I said, I've been coaching my son's team, and it's been fun. I enjoy being able to pass on the knowledge that I've gained through the years and the level that I got to, and being around some of the coaches that I've gotten to. I learned a lot from the coaches that I've played for. So being able to pass that knowledge down, I've enjoyed. So if I had the opportunity to coach, I think I would really enjoy it. And that's something that I definitely might pursue in the future.
Which offense, I'm really curious, which offense is your favorite to watch in college or the NFL?
I like Ole Miss. I like Lane Kiffin. I like the innovators. They don't do everything by the book. They do new things. And the Chiefs obviously have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, and you got all those guys who can do all these different things. And then you got like Sean McVay. So you got guys like that. But I'm a big fan of the teams that innovate, like doing new things, doing things differently, trying new things, because that's how the game progresses. We don't progress the game by just everybody doing the same thing. You do things that, might work, might not work, but hey, we tried it. So I like watching those kind of offenses.
I like Ole Miss too, and I like what they do. But speaking about a team that runs up tempo, Coach Simmerfield down in Memphis, Memphis football, man, talk about the state of your beloved program. I feel like you guys are on the up and up every year.
Yeah, shoot. When I first got there, the program was, not very great in terms of football. And it took a lot to change that culture. It took the team buying in. It took Coach Fuente when I was there. Looking back on it, I just think about how hard it probably was to try to get a bunch of kids, to buy into your culture, to buy into what you thought we needed to do to change our program. And at first, we didn't win a lot of games at first. It was 4 wins and 5 wins. So it didn't work right away. And then it kind of exploded into this thing. So I have a lot of respect for that. But now I think we built a good foundation of like building a legacy, building tradition at Memphis, that, we are a team that's tough, and we're going to be hard to beat every single Saturday. You're not just going to be able to show up and beat us. It's going to be a hard fought win. And I think they've done a good job at continuing that. Ever since, I've graduated and been gone, we've won a lot of games. If we don't win 9 or 10 games a season now, it's like disappointing. And that's exciting to hear, and exciting to hear Memphis being talked about, going into the college football playoff and things like that. So I'm glad that they've, coach after coach after Coach Norvell left, and now the current coach that's there now, they've done a great job at continuing the traditions that and building on the foundation that has been laid and continuing to win.
Liberty Bowl is always jumping, man. It's great to see, that program continue to be successful. One thing I hear from a lot of people, you are entering the NAL. A lot of people are wondering, including me, do you anticipate operating under center full time, or do we see you use, your legs and kind of take some hits in the NAL?
Shoot, I've always been a player that likes to get out of the pocket and scramble and make plays. So I'm hoping, we operate out of the gun and we sling the ball around. I get to throw for as much yards and as much touchdowns as possible. That's what I want. So I'm hoping that's the direction we go. And, I'm going out there to win. So like I said earlier, when we were talking about Coach Buckley and the competitive spirit, like that's something that's never left me. So I'm excited to go play again. I'm excited to compete. I'm excited to try to win.
Speaking about competitive, Coach Fred Shaw. I mean, he's a dog all around. Talk about your early kind of impressions of him.
Yeah, I've had a few conversations with him already, and he's locked in. He's excited. He wants to win, and I like that. And I like playing for coaches who want to win and have that desire to push their players to want to win and try to get the best out of their players. So, like I said, I've had a few conversations with him. We'll have a lot more conversations in the future, but he's definitely somebody that I look forward to playing for.
As you kind of get closer, you're playing a whole new sport. I think indoor football is completely different than outdoor football. What challenges do you anticipate you facing, and what are you doing to kind of prepare yourself, from an IQ perspective to get you ready for playing the indoor game?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to learn as much as possible before we go into it, just kind of rules and nuances and players and defenses and offenses and, how to run the offense and things like that. And obviously the field is smaller. You got the walls now that are in play. So I'm just kind of trying to learn as much as possible about that. So I don't have to worry about that once I first step on the field. And I'm just worried about going at that point. So it's just a little nuances I'm trying to focus on. And then whenever we get to practicing and things like that, football is football, really, no matter where it's played. So that will all come in time whenever we get on the field. But it's just those little nuances, just trying to pick those up as fast as possible.
Talk about kind of outside of football, what do you got going on? How do you, keep your mind right?
Yeah, like I said, I've been coaching my son's team. They just won their state championship at 10U, and so they're supposed to go down to Vegas and play for regionals. They got 2 games. If we win those 2 games, then they can move on to nationals. So that's what has been occupying most of my time. And then I've now gotten to the point where I've started like my own quarterback development. So I've been training kids like one-on-one or in groups and doing that. And like I said, that's something I really enjoy, especially with quarterbacks, like position specific. I'm able to, get my hands on them and work with them. And like I said, pass down knowledge and pass on things that I learned throughout the process.
Paxton, it's been really great to meet you and speak to you today. I think my final question for you is, what's your message to Colorado Spartan Nation and kind of the rest of the league that kind of have been doubting you a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think the message is that, I'm taking this serious and I'm coming out here to try to win, and I hope that a lot of the fans in Denver and in Colorado come out here and support because, talking with Tony about the team and the direction he wants to go with the team, this is something he wants to build up. This is something he wants to bring a lot of attention to. And I love that, the more teams you can have in the city that the fans can come and support, the better. I remember when I was a kid, like growing up in Orlando, watching the Orlando Predator games, they were fun. They were fun to go to. So that's my thing. I just want the city to come support, and I want us as a team to go out there and put on a show for them to come want to support. I want to score a lot of points, hold teams to not a lot of points, and I want to go out there and win.
I'm a game changer.